Hello crafty friends, this is the Papered Chef here. In today's Brother ScanNCut Tips and Tricks tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use a built-in pattern to create this window, and then we're also going to create the box. We're going to create the box old school using this Simply scoreboard, but you're going to use your ScanNCut to create the tree through the top of the box. Now this is the second time I'm going live with this. I was online for about 40 minutes and then my phone locked up, my camera. So I was getting back on and I almost gave up. I mean, I said not gave up going altogether with the tutorial because the tutorial is very important, but I almost gave up going live again. And what happened, I just came on and saw this comment and I was like, instead of recording it, I decided to go live. I said, I have to read this comment. Okay, so let me just, I'm going to zoom in here. Or I don't know if I'm going to zoom in. I'll just read it off the screen here. So this is like the most amazing comment and so uplifting. Okay, so Miss Super Klutz commented, OMG, wow, your Brother ScanNCut tips and tricks are spectacular. And I can't say enough how excited I am about what you shared. OMG, I've never thought to do this and can't wait to do so. And this was on a tutorial about, can't wait to do so. Thank you. Let's see what else. Thank you so much for your outstanding detailed tutorial, and I'm a visual learner. Your video is so totally visually done, and thanks too for sharing your tremendous, terrific tips, tricks, and techniques. You so rock. And she went on. And so this is just, her name's Joan Smith. So this is her username. So like here's the username, Miss Super Klutz. She said, I have a CM350 Brother ScanNCut and love it, and I really, really love their new mats. They are so sticky. I guess I really need a new mat then, huh? Thank you, Joan, for giving me the encouragement to just not go off and just give up on this tutorial, because I was just ready to just record it, and because I was like, I'm not going to go live again. But you know what? I like going live. It's better because I can get to answer questions and things. And also, I think this technique is very important. So thank you for such a great comment. And that was on a tutorial called, what was that? The video that she was commenting about was called Brother ScanNCut Tips and Tricks Cutting Stamp Sentiments. So I show how to cut stamp sentiments in other videos. So the good thing about getting kicked off of YouTube, okay, not really kicked off, but you know what I mean, not being able to finish the last video, is I was able to make a better version than my first sample. I didn't like my first sample because I was trying to let the tree stump show. I'm going to still show you how to weld the top of the tree and the bottom of the tree, and I was trying to let it show with this banner, but I think it looks better with the whole banner. What do you think? And then I also went on and made another box out of garden green and real red. So I did a couple more samples. I even did a bookmark I can show you. I did a couple things. I did a couple more things. Restarted all my tech. I think everything's good now. Cleared off some room. Oops. So it's not I have no problem with the crafting part. It's sometimes the tech part. And it's not because I don't understand the tech part. It's just that sometimes things don't work out the way I want them to. It's not like I'm scared of the tech part. It's more like it just doesn't cooperate with me. It's frustrating sometimes. But don't get frustrated. You should still share your crafts. It's still worth doing because you're going to help people. And that's what this is all about, is helping people. And then you're going to make crafts that make people feel good. So let's get into it. We're going to turn on your machine. You're going to hit, this is the welcome screen. You can turn off, you don't have to have the welcome screen. It's called a splash screen. You don't have to have that show. But what we're going to do right now is create this little Christmas tree, this little, holiday tree. I say little because it doesn't come out this size when you first make it. It also doesn't come out welded like this. So while I have it on the screen, which I'm going to go ahead and delete it, I just want to zoom in, make it really big so you can see what we're up to. And then when you put the two parts on the screen, you're going to see how we're going to be doing this. We're going to be welding the bottom of the tree to the top. Even though we're going to cover it up for this example, you might not always cover it up. So like I like it better. I like the banner, but I mean what you're learning is going to be applied to other projects of yours. So you may want to weld it for other reasons. All right, so let's just start at the beginning. Here you go. You turn on your machine, you see pattern and scan. You're going to go to pattern. We're going to get a built-in pattern, and it's in the second group of objects here called, it's the icons, okay? So we're going to go to icons, and then you have a little jack-o'-lantern and gift. So you're going to go to this icon. It's on the third row. I'm using a CM350 right now, or ScanNCut 2. You all have, no matter what model of ScanNCut you have, I know because I have like a really ancient one. I have 4 ScanNCuts, and I've actually helped countless people set up their ScanNCuts. So I'm familiar with so many different models in different countries even. And you all have these patterns, these kind of basic patterns. So you'll have something to do. You'll be able to do what I'm showing you, regardless of your model. So I go into the holiday ones, and I want this tree. Okay, so we're going to click on the tree, and it's called AR dash, I think that's a I, and then a 013, or it could be IO13. So that's the number. We're gonna leave it at the default size. We're gonna click OK. It comes in 2 parts. We're gonna go ahead and get both parts, even though this would just be fine for this project. But I always like to go above and beyond and teach you extra things. So even though we only really need the tree for our little window, we are gonna just still go get the tree stump. So we're gonna get the tree stump. We're gonna go add. We're gonna get the stump. You see, it's a separate object. But it's still in proportion to the tree because we're not resizing it. So don't mess with sizes right now because we want the stump to stay in proportion to the tree. So now we have 2 objects. We can just do what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this line to just align them. So you see I'm using the line and sort of just this line meaning on the middle of the mat. And I'm just going to make the stump overlap. You can't weld. If you have 2 objects sitting on your mat like this, you can't weld them together because they're not touching each other. So we're going to, you need them to be touching and overlapping slightly. Same with Canvas Workspace. I do teach a lot about welding. It's one of the process overlap functions in the software in my courses. Okay, so I do teach more about welding, but this is just how to weld right on your machine. I think my favorite thing about the ScanNCut machine, honestly, compared to any other machine, is all the stuff you can do right now without even being connected to the internet. I think that's just beautiful. I can go over, turn on my machine, and just start crafting with it without having to do anything with the software. This is all built into the machine. So anyway, we can't weld it yet either because we haven't selected both objects. So we're going to go. Let's just say we're going to click here to the edit mode, and we need to select both these objects. So go in here and get this selection. It's the red ones, the little red squares, and there's 2 ways to select. You could select by dragging over an area, and this would be one way to select both objects. Or the other way to select both objects, or all objects, is I like this one. This is the one I usually use when there's, use this second one because it just selects everything on the screen. You can toggle back and forth. So I like this one. Just go ahead and select everything. Of course, if you only wanted to select 2 objects or certain objects in a certain spot, you would then select this one and draw a selection around them. All right, so here we are. We have it, and we're ready to weld. This button here is weld. It means you're going to weld these 2 shapes into one. That means they're going to be grouped, and you can't undo this. And I don't mean grouped, I mean welded. Grouped is when you're just sort of, they're still separate objects, but this time it's one object. When it says it's a reversible, and that's okay. So it now becomes one object, and the stump is attached to the tree. If I would have used group, they would have stayed a separate stump and a separate top, which is fine, and then I could have cut them out in different colors. That's why they come separately. You could cut the stump out in brown, and you could cut the top out in green. All right, so now that we have it welded together, we can resize it so it fits on here. And I'm also going to teach you another tip right now. So I even thought about the tutorial on how I could improve it since I had to come back and start it all over. I thought, let me just show you about the rectangle trick that I used when I was first designing. We're going to actually design on this. We're going to use the paper pumpkin kit. This is a piece from the paper pumpkin kit, and so is this. I'll show you a little bit about that later. But when I was doing my prototype project, I did a piece of garden green, and I wanted to find out what size the tree needed to be. So I thought, why not show you all that? Why not show you how I sort of got to this point? How did I know what size to make the tree? Okay, so that's kind of where I'm going to go with this, and then we're going to, after we make a tree with just a rectangle around it, we're gonna then use this piece right here. So let's first talk about the size. So let's go ahead and let's move this off to the side for a second. And when I was prototyping this project, and maybe sometime I'll get on and show you how something goes from my mind onto the machine, how I sort of prototype. So I came up with an idea of making this little tree go through on this box, but first I had to figure out what size the box was going to be. So what I did is I took this piece that came out of the paper pumpkin kit, and I just made another rectangle. So I just went in and said, before I even got to the tree, I went over here and I put a rectangle. So I'm going to go in here and get a square. We'll get a square and we'll turn it into a rectangle by making sure we check this button so that we can change the width and the height in proportion to each other. So we're going to get a rectangle. We're going to make it 3.75. That's 3 3/4 inch high, and we're going to make it 5 wide. Okay, so that's what I did is I just replicated the shape I had, and then I decided how big are the sides of my box going to be. I'm going up to 5. I like having the beeping noises. It might be annoying to you. You can turn off these beeping noises in your settings. This is the settings over here. I like the beeping noises, especially when I'm teaching. All right, so there we go. 3.75 by 5. So that's the size I was working with. And then I said, well, I'm doing a giving gifts workshop. I'm going to show you how that relates to this. And I had already made boxes that were similar height, and they held 3 Ghirardelli chocolates. So I knew that I was going to have to make the 3/4 inches margins around the side. And I knew that my box was only 3.75 high. So that is not going to fit on the box, right? Because it's not going to fit because I need to have my score lines. I'm going to have, here, I made some here to show you. See, I'm going to have to score the edges. So now, what size can I make the tree? So I experimented and I came up with, let's take this tree. We're just selecting the tree, not the rectangle, just the tree. So move the rectangle for a second. See, just the tree. And if you want to toggle between selecting the rectangle and the tree, this is the toggle selection button. You're toggling between the objects on the screen. So let's go ahead and resize that, and we're going to resize it down. Let's leave it stay, well, it's going to stay in proportion. We're going to resize it down to 2 height, and then just don't worry about the width because it's going to stay in proportion. And here we go. All right, 2 high. So now that was good. So I had that, and it fit on the box, and I had my margins, and everything was happy, and everything's well. But if you don't center this properly, as you know, this one got really close, or is it this one? Well, I don't know. You might not know, but when I did my first attempted video, this was very close to the bottom. This little tree got too close to the bottom of my box. It was hard to score. It should be more like this with a little bit of a, it should be closer to the top of the box like that. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to take this rectangle and this tree. You're going to select them both. Let's select them both. And you want to center them horizontally and vertically. So let's go ahead and use these. This is your alignment tool. It looks a little different on the SDX machines, but you all have something with 4 arrows going in different directions, no matter what model you have. And you're going to use that. And when you get in there, you're going to see this button here. I love this. This is how you align your objects. This is very important for design. So you're going to go in there, and we want to center this tree both vertically, this is vertical alignment, and horizontal alignment. Now, these 2 shapes are perfectly aligned with each other. But we still also want to make sure they don't slip. We don't want them to slip apart. So although they're perfectly aligned both horizontally and vertically, we're going to go ahead and group them. That's this button here. So that when we move this, it's one object. So now, what we're going to do is use our garden green, because I don't want to not waste, but I have a lot more garden green than I have of this piece from the paper pumpkin kit. So let's use garden green cardstock to cut out. Let's go ahead and load our mat. And I'll actually show you what I did with the garden green as well. So I'm just taking a piece of cardstock. I've already cut out the square down here, or the rectangle. I'm going to just cut a rectangle out up here. I'll put this up near the top of the mat. Up near the top, I need to talk about blade depth only because it's a CM model. So when you do blade depths for Stampin' Up cardstock, you're going to turn up and just turn it back to 5. So you need a blade depth of 5 when you're cutting Stampin' Up cardstock. Give it a good rub. If you want, you can use tape, painter's tape to keep it from slipping. Don't cover up, well, it doesn't matter if you cover up registration marks this time because we're not actually scanning, we're just cutting. But if you want to use painter's tape to hold it in place, you actually could cover up the marks because we're not scanning right now, we're just cutting. So it just depends on how sticky your mat is. So now that we have it in there, blade depth of 5, we're going to go ahead and cut. We're going to click OK, and we're going to cut this out. So everybody in the whole entire world with a ScanNCut, you don't need to have a paper pumpkin kit to do the project I'm showing you. You can make a box exactly the way I'm showing you right now. You can cut your box lid. Okay, a few more tips and tricks. So let's talk about this for a moment. Let's do this. We're going to say okay. I want to show you several approaches to do the same thing, because there's sometimes more than one way of doing the same thing. So we want to now go in here and we want to, well, first of all, just let me explain this before we do the screen. Let's leave this piece of, what do you call this one? Garden green. It's my least favorite green. I do like shaded spruce. This is shaded spruce, by the way. Garden green's pretty cool, Christmassy color, but still, doesn't shaded spruce just rock? I love shaded spruce. All right, we're going to take this tree, which we can use for other projects, take it out, and leave this little opening here. So one way to make multiples of the same project, here's one approach, is you could just take your shape that you want to keep cutting windows in, and you can place it into your little template, okay? So I thought this would be like a good little trick for you. However, remember, we do not want to cut, say, all we want to do is have this piece there, but we don't want to cut another rectangle, right? That will become out jagged. So let's do this. Now that we know where that paper goes, leave the mat loaded, pull the template off, okay? And I'm just going to tape this down. So now it's in the exact spot. I'm going to show you another way to get it into the exact spot you need it, but let's go with this for now. We're going to use the element from the paper pumpkin kit. And we're going to go back here, and we have to make sure that we do not cut that line. Okay, so we're going to go backwards, and we are going to go to edit. Now, we want to ungroup these, because if I try to delete right now, I'm going to delete the tree too. So I don't want to delete the tree. These are one object right now. We're going to ungroup them, and all we want to do is toggle the selection. We don't want to delete the tree. We want to delete the rectangle. We can trash it. Okay. The tree has not moved spaces. It's in the exact spot we need it in to cut it through, to cut it right here onto the mat. So we can go ahead and cut, and then I'm going to show you some other trick in a minute. So we're going to go ahead and cut. Click OK and cut. Now, if you're doing this one here, it's not quite cardstock. This one, this little piece on the mat. So I would say that one's just a blade depth of 4 is fine. So go up to 12 and move it back to 4. Of course, if you have SDX, you have auto blade. You don't have to set the blade depth. But now I'm cutting this paper that's like pseudo cardstock. When you get a paper pumpkin kit, it's not quite the same as regular Stampin' Up! Products. I'm just keeping it real. Our paper pumpkin kits have like, the cards aren't as thick as Stampin' Up! Cardstock. They're just not. And notice I'm like, don't want my little thing to slip. So I'm always kind of using painter's tape and rubbing it there. Okay, so now what we've done is we've cut the little tree out. Before you remove the little backing, just kind of go like that and test it, and it's working. Okay, good. My tree came out. Always save these trees. I'm going to show you a project I created with this tree in just a moment. So now, let's do this. Let's say that you don't have a rectangle and you didn't know exactly where to put this. Another way, I'm going to teach you another tip and trick. If you were trying to figure out, here, let me do it this way. It would be better if I just take this off to not confuse anybody. So say, I'm not actually going to cut a hole in this one right now. This is the bottom of my box. I was trying to save time. Let's just put this somewhere else. Let's put it over here. Okay, so here we have this little, maybe this is a good sticky part of your mat, because every machine has a personality. Different parts of the mat are sticky in different places, and I want to just cut it right there. And, pretend I was really cutting this. It would be a blade depth of 5. And I wanted to put that tree onto this spot. Okay, I'm going to teach you another tip and trick, but we're not actually going to finish this tip and trick. We're going to just start a tip and trick. So we're going to go back, and we're going to use what's called background scanning. Background scanning allows me to put whatever is on my mat up onto the screen, so I know where as a reference. So we're going to go ahead and scan that in, and then I can put the tree into the right location so that it cuts a hole into your box in the right location. And so this is a really handy tip and trick. So the background scan is right there, and I can move the tree right to the middle of the box, right where it goes. And I can even go into my settings, and I could either make the background darker, like there you can see the red square. It's not going to do anything, it's just a reference. I can make the background lighter, and if it really gets annoying, I can actually turn, so that was lighter, let's say that's lighter, and I can actually turn the background off so that it goes back to that if that's annoying, and turn it back on. It's in the memory. Sometimes when you scan something in, you're like, what's that thing in the back? It's the memory of the last thing that it scanned in as a background scan. So here is one more kind of tip and trick. This is going to be more high level. So what you could do is, this is high level. So if you think that you want to make this perfectly aligned now, you can go back to my little rectangle trick where you can go add. You're not going to actually leave it there, right? You're going to make a, this is just me doing, okay, what did I say? 3.75 by 5. This is just another little tip and trick to go kind of high level. So you get maybe one of these, right? And you put it there. You're not actually going to cut it. We're going to use it as a reference to do the centering, right? That we talked about. So we're going to go in there, select everything, right? Go into alignment, align, align. Don't group it though, because we don't want to group it because we want to get rid of it. We want to keep the tree, get rid of the rectangle. We're not actually going to cut that line. I hope you understand what I just did. I only put a rectangle there so to use as a reference to make sure this tree is perfectly centered in the shape I just put on my mat. Then you would cut this out and it would be perfectly centered into the right place in the window and not eyeballing it. Okay, so that's another tip and trick, but we're not doing that one because this is the bottom of my box. Let's go old school and cut and create the boxes now. We have the bottom created and it's a smidgen smaller than the top. So I didn't want to do all the scoring yet. So I did, where's the top? Here's the top. We're going to go like this and show you the top. So you still have your you have your bottom is the same size as your top, except for it's the smidgen smaller. So what I mean is, and that would look cool too if we're not going to do an acetate window, right? It would look cool to just put paper behind there. So you have your bottom and it needs to be an 1/8, a 1/16, or an 1/8, but no more than an 1/8, but let's say a 1/16. Just a 1/16 of an inch smaller, right? Then the bottom of your box needs to be a little smaller than the top of your box. And this is the top of the box. And yet you score it the same way. And that's how the bottom fits, or the top fits over the bottom. Okay, that's how it works. Because you made the two rectangles and one was just a smidgen smaller than the other. We don't need our ScanNCut anymore, but do save all your pieces from your ScanNCut. And let's go over here and here and here. And the reason I'm not saying hello right now is because I'm afraid to touch the screen of my phone until a little bit later. I need to cover all the critical parts of the tutorial. I'll say hello later, and that way if I get cut off, I can leave my video up there for all eternity because I will have taught the whole lesson. So now what I'm going to do is go over here. I just like to tilt that down because that little window gives me a glare. Oops, wrong style. This probably would work as a score tool, but you want to use the stylus on your Simply Scored. And what I'm doing now, and I'm going to go ahead and change. I can't lower my camera anymore, but I can turn it. I can turn it like that. So I hope you can see. So what I'm doing is I'm scoring. Here, let's get rid of that little. At 3/4 of an inch on all sides. So we're going to just do 3/4. Turn it 3/4. Make a bunch of these at once, obviously. You could have cut, especially if you have like these. I think it only came with 5 of these, but you can make all 5 of your cards into boxes if you would like. And that's 3/4 of an inch. So there's your, oops, save those trees. It's already falling. My tree is falling. All right, so there's your see, here's your 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and 1 inch. There you go. There's 1 inch. So here, now we're going to take, that's the top of our box. The bottom of our box, I did the same exact thing, 3/4 of an inch. And we get our little bone folder, and we are going to make both of these. We can even cut them both at once. I mean, do the little, or no, we better not cut them both at once. When I make a bunch of boxes, I do cut them at once, but so I won't do that this time. I'll cut them not together. So now we're going to cut out these little triangles. And we're just doing what's called mitering the edges. And I hope I'm still in focus. I can never tell. My vision is not so good anymore. It seems like every time I go to the Dollar Tree, I have to get like the next highest number in the reading glasses. I don't think they're going to make numbers high enough for me eventually. Okay, so here is, that's the box. That's what you're going to do to this one. You're going to do the same thing. You see how you have that little bit of an angle? And it just makes it so when you do make your box sides, the reason you're mitering the edges is then you get this nice, flat, flush little side. And if you don't miter the edges, you're going to get a box that looks like that, and it's going to be unprofessional. You have this piece sticking out. And not only is it unprofessional, it's annoying. You try to get in there with scissors, and you're trying to cut these pieces sticking out, and you get so annoyed. I know I do. So this is why you miter the edges. And I even do it when I put a box in a bag. When I make a craft that has a box in a bag, which we made the other day, I even make the box inside the bag that you can't even see look right, just in case someone peeks in there. I want it to be the right kind of box. There's some principles that sort of just hold true, and one is box making. And if you understand this kind of box making, you will understand when I show you those free templates at Template Maker online. You'll just appreciate what that creator has done to make templates for us, to make any size boxes we want. All right, so there's our little pieces. Now we're going to glue. So now you need your little clips. I got these from Harbor Freight. You need your glue. And you're going to, don't glue that one yet because we've got to put the window on it. But do glue these, right? And you're going to use your little clips to hold the glue and let it dry. Push that in there. Okay. And then you can do the other side. Now we need to cut a window. So let's, oh, that's my other project I'm going to show you. That's the thing for the paper pumpkin. So what we're going to do for cut the window is we're going to use this acetate. Yes, we could have used the ScanNCut to cut the window, but we are going to cut it with the paper trimmer because I didn't feel like dealing with, messing with the ScanNCut. You could have changed the blade depth, up higher because acetate's pretty thick, and you could have cut the little rectangles with your ScanNCut. And I've done tutorials on how to cut acetate, how to cut mylar. But since we just need this little window to go on our box, I just use a paper trimmer. Okay, now to move these up here, let that dry. Again, don't do this one yet. Do this one, but don't keep this one flat to put the window in it before you try to glue the side shut. All right, done with the glue for now. Grabbing out the trimmer and my bling. I love this bling from the Paper Pumpkin Kit. It's so cool. So nice looking. And by the way, I even started getting gunk all over my acetate windows. And I was like, oh no, not gunk on my window. So what I did is I went and got a paper towel and this Lysol all-purpose cleaner. And I was able to get the gunk. And I mean the gunk meaning the gunk from my hands, like the glue. I was gluing the boxes shut and I had glue on my hands. And it got on the acetate windows. And I put this on a paper towel and it like rubbed right off and it's pretty clear now. So just so you know, you can just clean your acetate if you get glue all over it. And if you don't have acetate, like we do sell window sheets. They're only like $5 for two 12 by 12 window sheets. I think they're $5. Anyway, we sell those. We need the box to be, that was 3.5. I wrote some notes here. Here, the window has to be 3.5 by 2 1/4. A little bit less than 3.5, right? Because this area is 3.5 by 2 1/4. I'll write that a little neater. So this part's already 3.5. So it needs to be a little less than 3.5 and a little less than 2 1/4 because you have to be able to get it to, to get the box to close, right? So when you put that in there, isn't that nice? So you have an acetate window. So why do we do all this? I forgot to mention why we do all this. Windows if you want to sell crafts at a craft fair, the number one question, I honestly have the number one question I get at craft fairs. What's in the box? What's in the box? Every single time I made boxes that weren't open, even though I had my little hot dog tray. It was like an empty hot dog tray with everything that was in the box. Literally, I would say, this is what's inside the box. I'd have the, does it contain nuts? Da 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 da. What's in the box? And I was literally had a little visual of everything that was in the box in a hot dog tray with a sign that said, this is what's in the box on my table. And they still didn't read my sign. They would say, what's in the box? What you put in there? So anyway, you need, if you're selling craft fairs or even just giving these to people, they want to know what's inside the box. So I'm just doing that on this. I'm just doing some rolling adhesive on the sides, but then I'm going to use glue dots around in the middle. So by putting windows on your treats, they can tell what's in the box. They are more likely to buy crafts from you. If you're not selling boxes at craft fairs and you're wondering why, it's because they don't know what's inside the box. Once they know what's inside the box, they are more likely to buy it. And I recommend, like if you have Hershey Nuggets, you have to put little stickers on them that says it contains nuts. But if you're doing Ghirardellis, they don't have nuts. So this is what I'm doing with the rolling adhesive. I'm putting a bunch on there. And then for this part, I'm just going to use a couple glue dots. Not quite a fan of glue dots, but they work great for these little parts in here where you can't get in there with the rolling adhesive. And you don't want the little window to be, you don't want stuff to start getting stuck under the window. So I put a few glue dots right around these parts. And yes, you could use take your pick tool. It would probably be easier. But right now we're just using our hands here. Fingernails, inky fingers. All right. So now we're going to pull those off. And now, once I get the acetate window in there, I can then, one of the dots, this is why they get on my nerves because they curl up sometimes. Put one more in there. And then I can put the window on, and then I can close the box. Because yeah, it's easier to just put the window on while it's flat. And then it's just a matter of, do you want to use, see that came off already. These are not as strong, in my opinion. In my opinion, again, I have to always say, because other people might, I love glue dots, send me your glue dots. It's like, you can have every glue dot I find. People want my glue dot. I have these from every paper pumpkin kit, and I pretty much never use them unless I'm working with the vellum. Like I did use them on my bookmark earlier because I was working with vellum, and I had to kind of hide. They're great for like hiding parts where you just want to put a little bit of stick. Okay, so you see that? I put enough glue on it that now I can put the window. Anyway, glue dots are good with vellum because they hide. Like vellum is like, when you put glue on vellum, you can see through it. The glue shines through. But when you put a couple glue dots in it, you can sort of let them be suspended. All right, I shouldn't have just stuck it down right like that. All right, what you should do, the little trick to putting the window on is kind of push the sides up a little so you don't put it in the wrong spot. So I'm holding the sides up like that. Now you go. There we go. Okay, now the window's in the right spot. And of course I got dirt under there. I don't know how I get so much stuff. I just got done cleaning my whole table. Oh, and there goes the adhesive. I was trying to get the dirt off. I don't know how I get so much dirt on these because I just literally just used Lysol on everything. On the whole table. I even cleaned the Simply Scored. I think it's the kind of glue. I'm just getting glue so strong. Let's put this. I need to get this started again. This seal is a great adhesive, but when you have really fibrous paper like this, right? Like this box is very fibrous. You have to, got dirt. Okay, so there we go. So now I'm going to glue it. I got my window to stay on the right way. And now I can glue the flaps. Notice how I'm nice, and instead of saying, oh, it's cheap paper, I say it's fibrous. It has lots of fibers in it. It's not like it, and it's not that it's cheap either. It's just that we have to, and like paper pumpkin designers are actually brilliant, to tell you the truth. As far as packaging design, I mean, they are brilliant because they have to keep, so the subscription's only $22 a month, including shipping. They need to keep it at first class rates, so it can't go over a certain number of ounces, right? Or the shipping goes up astronomically. So everything in there is so lightweight. They made a box even lighter. They even redesigned the box so it doesn't have as many flaps, so it's lighter. They they take all the packaging materials and they make it like as light and fluffy as possible. So of course our cardstock can't be like the regular, all the stuff inside. They don't give you like a lot of extra bulk. All the embellishments are light. Where's my, oh, I'm looking for my clothespins and they're right there. My little clamps. I need one up there. And all the materials just really are lightweight and go in, and they get to be like under that first class mail rate. All right, now you're going to take your little banner, and they're saying this is real red. I'm thinking, personally, this looks more like cherry cobbler to me. This is real red. This is my real red cardstock. That looks like cherry cobbler to me. But hey, you know what? I'm going with what it says here. It says that the coordinating colors are basic gray, real red, shaded spruce, and silver foil. So they're saying these are real red. So I think they're somewhere between though. Somewhere between real red and cherry cobbler. But I mean, it doesn't matter, right? It's a Christmas color. So I just put a little extra adhesive there. It got on the side. So anyways, you're going to put the little banner on there. Now, I'm covering up the stump. But it doesn't mean I didn't want to teach you how to weld this, because you might not want to put the banner there. You might want to put the banner right there. Personally, I'm putting the banner down there. I like the tree. I like to be able to see through. And let's get rid of these clamps. I like the candy to be able to be seen in there. So personally, I'm putting that on the bottom. But you can put it wherever you want. And it was still a good idea to weld the trunk, because then you have that shape that you can use for other things. So we're going to center the banner. And then for the Noel, okay, which one did I like better? I like this one better, my second try. So I'm going to do what I did for the second try, except I think I should move the Noel over more. And all I did for that was put the adhesive. I put actually glue on the bottom of it. But I did use a couple glue dots, like on the top of the N, because that's the only place they would really be hidden. And I didn't want to put too much glue on it, because when you put glue on something this big, or like that much glue, it just starts oozing out the sides. And this is such pretty foil that I didn't want the glue to ooze out the sides. So I put a couple little glue dots on it. Believe it or not, they make glue dots that are even smaller than this one. It's like, good grief, these are small already. So we're going to go like that. And so now we know how to make old school boxes, just regular old boxes. So there you go. And then that's where I put, that would be enough glue for the top. But I like to reinforce things. I don't want things to fall off the box. So I'm going to put a little bit tiny glue just on the bottom of these words. Just a little bit. It might ooze out, but it's okay. It's only going to ooze out the bottom. And that'll stick onto the paper. Don't put glue on the acetate, right? I'm going to move this over because I don't want the N to cover my pretty tree. So I'm going to more like center it this time. And the glue will dry clear, but the little dots will hold it and keep it from flopping up and getting stuff stuck in it, especially when you're shipping it to people. And then the glue is going to hold it onto the paper. And then we need some of our awesome bling. This bling is fantastic. I wish they'd give us more embellishments. That's the only thing. But again, I told you why. It's probably it has to do with all the weight. If they give us a lot of extra things. So you want to put an odd number of embellishments. So like, you know, put two. If you put two on one side, then put one on the other side. And then you're going to take your twine. Now, they didn't give you a lot of twine. I think I have enough for one more box. So let's go ahead and make it, right? So we can finish up the box. Because then once I shut it, I have to tilt that so you don't get, what is up with this glare? Here we go. Tilt that. Tilt that. So what I like to do is put some Ghirardellis in it. And I've tried out the Ghirardellis in different order, and I think these are great, guys, by the way. White caramel chocolate. Hello. How awesome is white caramel chocolate? I've been eating these Werthers. I was going to put some of them in the box, but I just kept eating them before and during the tutorial. Well, anyway, in the bottom line is, even though that's silver, I think gold looks best through the window. I don't think this looks good through the window. And this one looks too green. So I still put a mint one in there. We put the mint one down the bottom, and then that one. And this one looks best through the window. Where's the window? You see what I'm saying? Like, shining through. Because look, you shine that through. I don't think the vanilla looks good through the window. Of course, the green doesn't look good through the window because it's already green. Well, it actually doesn't look bad. All right. I didn't think it would, but let's try it. Let's try the green. Before, it was a different shade of green, but this one actually matches. I'm going to go with the green on this one. So we're going to put the lid on. Either way, you need 3 Ghirardellis. That's how many fit in your box. And then you need your twine that I just had in my hand. Did I put it in with the chocolates? No. Did it go over there? There it is. There it is. Okay, so we're going to tie up the box. And then it can stay tied shut. So, because you've already filled it, so you don't need to untie it again. Now, I like to push it down, you know, to really get it tight, because the lid will come loose a little bit, but you push it down. Get your twine even, because this is my only twine left. They probably could have spared us some expense and given us a little more twine. But they expect people to follow the design, and I pretty much never follow the design, but the design is nice on the cards, and they just used a little bit of twine. They're not expecting you to make boxes out of all your cards, let's put it that way. But that's how the papered chef rolls. So there you have it. And then I'm going to show you some alternate projects. And this one I have to put chocolates in. And I'll just use other twine. Like I have some black twine here I could use. I have some real red. I have a roll of this stuff. This is awesome. Oh yeah, these are the regular Ghirardelli. So Nola's asking, these are the regular Ghirardelli squares. Here's the bag. They're called, well, this one's the caramel, white caramel. Here's the bag for this. Here's the bag. So regular ones. Ghirardelli chocolate squares. So yeah, regular squares. But you could put a lot of minis in there. A lot of minis, right? Because, you know, 3 regular squares. And I was going to put the caramels on the side, but I just kept eating them. That's what these are for. It would actually fit these. These would fit on the sides of the Ghirardellis. But you know what? They didn't make it. I mean, I only have 3 left. I had a bunch. It wasn't going to happen. In the mints end up smelling too much. And I have to end up putting them in a separate bag because they'd end up smelling up the whole darn package. All right, so let me say hi. And if I do get cut off, then we're okay because I taught the whole thing. But I do want to show the other projects, a couple other projects. And this is where I got the elements for this project. So what we're calling this is an alternative paper pumpkin project using your ScanNCut. So that's what we just did. We did a deep dive on the ScanNCut, making an alternative paper pumpkin project. Or anybody that wants to make a box can hopefully just follow along and benefit from this tutorial. So hello, Diana. Both Dianas. Hello, Robin. And hello, Gail. Thank you, Robin. Jan, thank you for your comment. And thanks for reminding those guys, if you like it, to give a thumbs up. So thanks, Jan, for the reminder. Yeah, so used your high-speed internet. Janet's saying she used her high-speed internet already. Used up, what do you mean? You only have a certain amount of data? Hello, Nola. Hey, we have someone from Germany here. Bridget from Germany. And Karen from Scotland. Yvonne made it back. You were here before. I hope you got to sleep between the last time. Enka, hello. Hello, Anne from Pennsylvania. And Jan. Hello, Jan. Eldorette. What's in the box? Yeah, okay, Ghirardellis. You could put a lot of other things in this box. This is just the size of box I made. Okay, next time I send you something, Nola, you're getting some glue dots. I just got to find them all because they're everywhere. Awesome. All right, so here's what I want to show you. I still have more people to say hi to, but let's just go with this. So when I was doing the little experiment earlier, and I used the garden green, and it works with the red too. I did a bottom of the box red. I did a bottom of the box red, and I did the garden green on top. This is just a cardstock. So this is what I did for the alternative. I haven't finished decorating that one yet. But you can see that would be a strong box because it's made of cardstock. I'm just trying to find the little things I made with the extra, the little thingy I made with the extra. Here it is, here it is. Okay, now I told you to save those extra trees. And here's what you can do with the extra trees. They can be elements on a bookmark. So for this one, I used the tag topper punch, the fancy tag topper punch. And I used elements from the kit. So this is another alternative paper pumpkin project. And for that, I used this fancy tag topper punch. And now I just want to show you, I didn't do more with this kit because I just got the kit, but you could take this and put this on the front of your cards, and you can put other things behind it. Like you can put you can do things like this and put things behind it. So save this part, and if you're not going to make them into boxes, just you can do what I just showed you and make it into other things. But I want to just give you, I just want to show you this because in my Giving Gifts workshop series, we're using dies. So what I just showed you can be done with dies. So if you don't have a ScanNCut and you're following along, so maybe you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, but not a ScanNCut user, then what I recommend is going back to the tutorial I just did on how to make this box using Giving Gifts dies. It was part 3, I believe. It could have been part 2. No, I think it was part 2 of my Giving Gifts workshop series. And yes, you can make a shaker card, Stampin with Aloha. Joyce is saying, yes, make a shaker card. Hi, Lena. Thank you. I'm glad you liked the tag made with the extra elements, Lena. And Linda, hello, Linda. Just finishing saying hello. Okay, so that's just another idea. And then this is another idea that I haven't shown this yet I haven't shown this tutorial yet, but I just want to show you. I'm going to show how to make this one real soon. And it's also using dies. So say you don't want a tree inside the middle of your box. You could take a snowflake from inside the pattern collection in the ScanNCut and put a snowflake in the middle of your box. Thanks, Deborah. I appreciate your comment. Okay, so use metal dies if you don't have that. And then lastly, as I end, I just want to show you what I just did on my YouTube channel. I want to say yesterday, but it's probably the day before, and it's all becoming a blur. But I did this technique called the baby wipe technique. And so if you missed the baby wipe technique, it was part 4 of my Giving Gifts workshop series. So if you see something and you're like, oh, I'm not in that series, everyone's in the series. It's just free and open to everybody. So even if you're not, like, if you didn't get a kit and you think you can't follow along, you can learn techniques from the entire series, whether you have this particular stamp set or not. What I did is I took this stamp set here, and it's called Time of Giving. And I made a baby wipe with all the colors, with the fall colors, and dipped the ink into the baby wipe. Right? There's the ink. I dipped it into baby wipe. Oops, things are slipping off my table. And then I just want to show you, like, real quick. I did a little video of these, but there's the envelopes. And then the cards are in. I did some blending with the blending brushes and some layering. And then sometimes we die cut leaves. So here's just like a lot of stuff that I showed how to do very recently. So go ahead and check that out. You can even make mini cards. This is a baby wipe technique in the Giving Gifts workshop series. That was part 4. And I'll soon blog about it. And I'll probably put some dimensions and things. But you can make tags and things. So this is what's going on my channel. Lots of different series. I have an infinity card series that's going on to infinity and beyond. It's to infinity card and beyond. That's going on. I have an Ink It Up series that's always going on. I have a die cutting series. So check out different things on my channel because I showed how to make the boxes to put the cards in. These are our mini acetate boxes. These little acorn trinkets are on clearance still. Okay, so lots of stuff going on. But thank you for watching. This is the Paper Chef, and I'm so happy that we made it through this video today. See you all again very soon.